Welcome to Informatica Cloud 101 On-Demand course. So far, we have talked about data synchronization and all the advanced features of that application. Now we are going to look at how you can create and configure data replication tasks using the data replication application. After completing this module, you will be able to explain the purpose of the data replication application, define use cases for the data replication application, create and configure a data replication task, run and validate a data replication task. You can use the data replication application to replicate data in Salesforce or data in a relational database. When you replicate the data, you have the option of replicating to either database tables or to flat files. So what it does is, it automatically moves data from a cloud-based application to other type of database tables into a target. You also have the option of replicating data in all of your objects or tables. So you could very easily set it up to do a complete replication or backup of your Salesforce data that would include all objects. The use cases for the application would be doing regular backups of your data, archiving your data for compliance purpose, or moving your data into a data warehouse for performing offline reporting. The data replication application automatically replicates data as well as schema to a target. So this is a big difference between data replication and data synchronization, which we looked at earlier. As you will recall, with the data synchronization application, we had to have a target that we were integrating data to. However, with the data replication service, it will actually create that target for you. Whether that is a flat file or a database table with the columns that you need. You also have the ability to schedule it. So you could have it run nightly or weekly or as per your requirement. And it has incremental processing built into it. So as long as you are replicating the data from Salesforce to a database, it will allow you to just capture the incremental data. You would not need to use a filter like we did earlier. So here are some of the options that you get when you configure a data replication task. The first option on the source side is, do you want to replicate just a single object, a few objects, or all objects? Also, what do you want to do if an error occurs while you're processing an object? So let's say you are replicating a number of different objects and an error comes up. So then do you want it to cancel processing remaining objects or to continue it? And then with Salesforce sources only, just like with the data synchronization service, you do have the ability to include archived and deleted rows. On the target side, there are a couple of options you can configure. If you're replicating to a database and you have a Salesforce source, as I mentioned, you can specify if you want the load to be incremental or full. Again, with incremental, it's only going to pull over the new or change rows from the source, since the task was last run. If you do a full load, it is going to bring over all the data every time you run it. There is also a delete option you can set, which allows you to tell Informatica Cloud how to handle deleted rows that have been removed from the source. So do you want to retain those or remove those from the target? And then the last thing that you configure on the target side is adding a prefix. And this prefix is used to name the resulting table or flat file. So if you use the data replication service to replicate data from the Salesforce account object to a database, then the default name for the resulting table would be SF account. So it takes the name of the source object and assigns a default prefix, in this case, SF. Now this prefix is something that you can change. You would usually change the prefix to prevent overwriting data. For example, two Informatica Cloud users may access the same database connection, which is tied to a single database user account. So assigning a unique prefix allows both users to replicate data using the same database connection, without the danger of overwriting one another's data. And the prefix is also something you can remove as well. So you could just set it to create a table called account. You have some other options when creating a data replication task. you have the ability to exclude fields for each source object. So if you have fields in Salesforce that you know the business isn't using and they don't contain data, you might not want to export those. Also, if you receive an error message about the SOQL statement being more than 10,000 characters, you can use this feature to remove fields and shorten the SOQL query. For Salesforce sources, you have the ability to apply row limits. This option is there in the data synchronization service as well. Generally, people use this if they just want to run a test. So if you want to run a task to make sure that everything is working properly, you might want to limit the number of rows you're exporting. Note that if the task has a non-Salesforce source, this option is disabled. And just like with data synchronization, you have the ability to apply data filters. So if you only want to pull over a certain subset of data, you can do that. Also, if you're replicating data to a data warehouse for reporting, you may wish to filter and replicate only records of a certain type. And then there is an advanced option for Salesforce sources. You have the ability to enable high-precision calculations on Salesforce calculated fields. If you turn this on, the data replication service can read data with a precision up to 28 in Salesforce calculated fields and write that data to the target. This option is available on the advanced step of the wizard. When you look at a list of data replication tasks, you will notice that there are some additional options that are not available with data synchronization. One of those is the Reset Target option. This option gives you the ability to drop the target table. So through Informatica Cloud, rather than having to go to the database, you can actually drop the table. You may want to do this. If let's say you have a data replication task set up to run every day with an incremental load type, and perhaps you have gone in and changed the data type, the precision, or the scale of a source field. When that task is going to run again as an incremental task, you're likely to get an error because the data type, precision, or scale for the source field and target column are inconsistent. So what you could do is just click the Reset Target option from the drop-down and it will drop the target after you make those changes to your source. Then the next time the task runs, it will run a full load because the table won't be there anymore. When you replicate Salesforce sources to target database tables that do not yet exist, the data replication application generates a non-unique index for each target table. The data replication application also generates an index when you replicate Salesforce sources to target database tables, when you use the Create Target option on the data replication task page. The index is generated based on the Salesforce ID field. Indexes are not generated for Salesforce sources that do not include a Salesforce ID field. Now I'm going to walk you through building a data replication task. In this demo, we will create a data replication task and replicate data from Salesforce to a database table. Log into the Informatica Intelligent Cloud Services and select the Data Integration Service. To create a new asset, click New on the navigation pane. To create a new replication task, select Replication Task option and click Create. In the task name field, enter the name and retain the default location of the task. From the connection drop-down, select the Salesforce connection. In the Objects to Replicate field, select Include Object and then click the Select button. Choose the account and contact objects and click Select. Click Next to configure the target. From the connection drop-down, select SQL Server Connection and enter the target prefix as Demo. Click Next to proceed to the Field Exclusion step. Click the Exclude Fields button and select Account from the Object drop-down. For this demo, we will exclude the shipping details from the account object and click OK. Again, click the Exclude Field button and select Contact from the Object drop-down. Here we will exclude the other address details for the contact object and click OK. We see that the fields to be excluded are displayed in front of the object. Click Next. We will skip the data filter step for this demo. Hence, click Next again. To save and run the replication task, click Finish and run the task. To verify the result, open the SQL Server Management Studio and connect to the SQL Server using the credentials. From the databases, select the Training folder and select Tables. A list of available tables appear. We see that the replicated account and contact tables are present in the database. Now we will reset the target of the replication task. From the navigation pane, click Explore. Select the default folder. Right-click on the replication task and select Reset Target from the drop-down. Click OK in the appeared warning message window. Now refresh the SQL Server window. We see that the replicated tables are no longer present in the database. In this way, we can create a data replication task and replicate the objects in the desired database. This concludes the demo. There are 3 labs in this module. In the first one, you will build and run a data replication task to a flat file. In the second lab, you will build another data replication task which replicates data from Salesforce to a database table. And in the final lab, you will go back and use the data replication service to create a lookup file for one of the tasks that we built earlier. This concludes Module 9. This module showed you how to create and run a data replication task, configure data replication task options, monitor your task using the activity monitor and activity log, and verify task results.